Intro to my December goals, and what we're going to find out is the new thing here for me is going to be things like these post-its. This is Missy. Welcome to Atypical Weeks. This is going to be my December goal setting video, but also wrapping up my November. I'm going to start with this reflection for November. Now, just as a kind of introduction to me, I'm kind of working my way through changes to my system. So as I've been moving into my A5, I don't like have November printed next to December, etc. I kind of need a little booklet for everything I do because the pages are independent. I'm not sure where it's going to live. So for most things I do, I kind of end up with this blank front page. So in November, I kind of put some quotes and some tips from some people that I read online. And then this was my November goal spread. I tried not to overthink it. I did go back through and mark which things were habits versus like a big goal type goal. I really tried not to overthink it. So this is kind of Moxie Life-esque, but I don't gel with their categories or their colors. So I'm kind of doing my own thing here. And so each week I did a little bit of a reflection. And then at the end of the month, I reflected, these goals, they're not great, but it doesn't matter how great they were. I didn't look at them. So how am I going to fix that? So I am more in my rings now. So I will say I have looked at my goals every day in December. I think I wrote them on the 2nd, but I've never looked at them every day. Today's the 7th. And so what I did is I was thinking about it. Okay, wellness, exercise, eating right, self-care, all this kind of stuff. It wasn't a focus kind of goal for me, but it should be, and it should. I know in December it's probably not going to work out top of the list either, but how am I going to get better at it? Incrementally better? And I have some health things and my symptoms are improving, so you know what, that's a win. So in December, I put a post-it with dots from the dot markers onto my calendars. So what I did as I was doing this was I asked myself, what's my one consistent part of my system? What do I touch every day? What's been consistent over time? And it's been these big landscape calendars. This happens to be my sleep one. I just print these on letter paper, my weight, my steps, this has been consistent over time. I said I was going to get rid of the sleep one. I decided not yet. Because my calendars were the most consistent, and also in December I was moving them into my rings. I'm like, I'm going to use that to my advantage because the calendars are consistent. I put the post-its on there, and I also put some habit trackers on there. I'm not a huge fan of habit trackers because I end up making way too many of them, as you'll see. But I thought maybe the dots with the color to them, maybe they will help out. So you see I did that with this one, and then I started writing on the next one, and then I went, hey, I could use another post-it. Hey, I could use another post-it. And I actually ended up tweaking my calendars as a result. So let's now look at my December goals, and then we'll look at the calendars as we go. So for December, again, I have this little booklet. I put those quotes those tips I had at the bottom. I typed them on and put them at the top. The quotes, I put them on the bottom. And I just did a brain dump. If you watch my HB90 videos, that's kind of what I do at the beginning of each week in my little booklet that I made. My tweaks to my HB90, how I'm using the bones of the HB90 system, at least until I go through my Q1 boot camp starting next week, starting Sunday, December 11th, link in the description. I am excited to go through it again. I know I'm not using it HB90 100%. Don't have to use anything 100%, but I do really appreciate the system, and I'm hoping to incorporate more of the items as is. But I know myself, and I know the things that I need to have tweaked. So I just did a brain dump, and these are kind of more my HB90 type goals. Then I went into the categories, and they're very similar to last month. I'm not going to go through much of anything. I'll just take this one because it's easy. Yoga 10 times, walk 4 times. So if we start going to my calendar, so now it's in the same place. So now what I'm doing, one of my problems was I wasn't looking at my goals. Well, I know I go to my calendar, so now instead of picking up that big thing, I just start here in this by category section every morning, and I read through this. So that was one thing solved. I remind myself, do the Hobonichi first. I pull my tarot cards, so I always grab the calendars to write on there. Well, I'm recording the more detail and kind of journaling on my tarot cards in my Hobonichi on the daily pages, so I'm doing that first. Because these are booklets, these calendars, I had a blank front, and I'm like, hey, let's just do gratitude as a list. It doesn't have to be in calendar form. my tarot spread. And what I ended up doing, because, you know, if you have the rings in the middle, you don't just have 7 columns. I needed an 8th column, so I'm using it as a tracker. And for this one, I don't know that it's going to be any benefit, but I think it's interesting. I put the 4, I don't know what they're called. I can say suits because I know it's originally, you know, kind of like a deck of cards, but the major arcana and the 4 minor arcana, I guess that's all they're called. So my tarot calendar doesn't have any of the habit stuff. My sleep calendar, I said I was going to stop because I have the data in the watch, but I do want to keep reflecting on it. And because I switched over from auto sleep to the Apple version, I'm getting used to the data, and there was no like color coding in it. So I'm taking what I kind of learned from auto sleep, and I'm gonna at least do this in December. I don't know if I'll continue in January, but I do like to know because I do struggle to sleep. And not as many as some, thankfully. So here's an example of one of these Post-its, right? So I said yoga 10 times, so I made 10 dots. Walk 4 times, made 4 dots. And so off to the side on this one, I have, oh, and on the sleep one of the reasons I am saying, well, I don't want just the data. Okay, did I exercise a lot, right? Did I get over 5K steps? Did I have alcohol? Yes or no, right? So these are some supplements I'm trying to take to help me sleep. You know, was I too hot to sleep? Those are the kind of things that affect sleep. Some of those things are in multiple places, like steps. Steps are in, you know, checking the steps are in 2 places, plus I have them written on here. And so my Apple Watch data and stuff. But anyway, this is my key that I am trying to see if it helps. Now, obviously it's the 7th of December and I haven't done anything, but I did have apple cider vinegar this morning, mostly because I was out of coffee, and now I'm on to black tea. My meals, some of these I have glued together because I didn't want to share, but like here, okay, these are like 3 like just things I want to do. We have a trolley in Astoria. I'm outside of Astoria, Oregon. I've never ridden it. I want to go. There's a store that I want to go to that's a yarn store, and would like to do some more creative things. I did macrame when I was a kid. I have a planter. I would like to have a macrame holder. I could go buy one locally. I might do that. I haven't seen any at the local holiday bazaars. I'm also on the lookout, but I would like to research and maybe make one myself. So working with the dogs, walking the dogs. So like I said, you can see not a lot of these are checked off, but that's what I'm doing for those habit type things. My monthly planning session reset, my weekly planning session reset. So I made a column for that. My column for my major goals. What I did, some of these calendars are new compared to my old system. And as I was going through that November list and, you know, how can I fix this? I tweaked some of my calendars to make it match. I'm closing this with just a vision board that I printed out a paper copy because I saved a copy because took a picture because my old planning stuff's in storage still until later in the month when I finally get to move it. But this was the vision board that really, I think, helped me get this dream home and life of mine up here in Oregon. Looking forward to making a new one in the HB90 boot camp coming up December 11th. It's starting. There's a link in the description. I would love to have you there with us. And please like and subscribe. I'd love to see you back again. And if you have any questions on things I did or didn't show, comments, I'd love to have anything constructive you think might help me out. Have a great day, week, month, quarter, year.